It's my official honor now to welcome President Zelensky to make an address to a joint session. And I said to the members, President Zelensky speaking to Congress today, and your being in the chamber will be a bright part of your own legacy. Thank you, Mr. President, for honoring us with your presence. The entire Congress, Democrats and Republicans, House and Senate, look forward to hearing your message of unity.
And thank you so much that you supported us in financial support and with really that ammunition which will help on battlefield. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great honor.
And it's all Russia's fault, of course. Never mind that way back in 2017, American neocon psychos had already declared war on Vladimir Putin's Russia.
Our fight is not with the Russian people, but with Putin. Our promise to you is to take your cause to Washington and make the case against Putin to the world.
You know, as we've said so many times, do we have compassion for the Ukrainian people who are the victims of this? Of course, that's the problem. These megalomaniacs are playing with people's lives, as they always do, as they did with Iraqi children a long time ago, right? And they've been doing forever. Perpetual war. That's what they do. And now Zelensky, Time magazine's Person of the Year, is canceling Christians.
A free country does not ban a major religion just because it's not fully on board with the political program of the people running the country. But Zelensky's doing that, and his cabinet is now devising ways to punish Christians for practicing their banned ancient religion in Ukraine. Quote, personal, economic, and restrictive sanctions will be applied to any Christian caught worshiping in unapproved ways. So here's the response of one bishop to the news.
And yet, who's right there with these ungodly warriors?
Mr. President, I can conclude this session by thanking you, by saying we are all united with you. Thank you.
Well, reimagine that. The guy who wants to reset the world in the image and likeness of Antichrist, whose agenda, by the way, is pretty much putting the fear of the Lord back in a lot of people, including Vladimir Putin.
Агрессивное вымарывание целых страниц собственной истории, обратная дискриминация большинства в интересах меньшинств или требование отказаться от привычного понимания таких базовых вещей, как мама, папа, семья или даже различия полов, это, по их мнению, и есть вехи движения.
Stop the tape. I know what people are going to say. They're going to say it's just politics. Matt, you're falling for it again. Don't let him fool you. He's KGB. Remember all that? But like we said last time, friends, you got to look at what we all have learned over the past 2 years. So many people have woken up. And the reality is nobody wants the lunatical agenda of the Great Reset gang. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants what they're selling. So yeah, Putin may be a dictator, but he's not a stark raving madman. He's not a lunatic like our guy Biden is. He actually is just as freaked out about this agenda as we are.
Говорю уже о просто чудовищных вещах, когда детям сегодня с малолетства внушают, что мальчик легко может стать девочкой, и наоборот, фактически навязывают им якобы имеющийся у каждого выбор. Навязывают, отстраняют этого родителей, заставляя ребенка принимать решения, способные сломать ему.
So let's just review. We're going to get to a little sort of strategic session here in a minute. First, these people pushing for war in Washington and London. First, they stuck the stick in the Russian hornet's nest. That was brilliant. Back in 2017, we've gone over and over that. 2014, 2015, before that, the regime change under John McCain and Victoria Nuland and all these people, right? And then once Putin had had enough and a war started up, then they refused to negotiate. What did Biden famously say? I will not talk to Vladimir Putin, right? Which is not a good way to stop or to bring peace, refusing to even talk to the other side. And then they started pumping billions of dollars, high-tech weaponry, which the Ukrainian soldiers don't even know how to use, which is why so many of them are dying right now. But nevertheless, we started pumping all the money and the weapons in the world in order to promote Ukraine's war effort against Russia. And why is that happening? As we explained down here 9 months ago, they weren't shy about admitting why this is happening. Here's what they were saying.
Because Russia is actually a gas station with nukes. The whole Putin regime is built on oil and gas. That's it. So the West needs to unite and act fast and pour money and resources and scientific knowledge to create an energy revolution, to stop depending on oil and gas, and then the Putin regime is finished.
And what was Putin's response to that?
Go ahead. Make my day.
Right? If Team Biden doesn't stop this insanity, friends, Putin's going to be left with no alternative but to wipe Ukraine off the map, something that Douglas McGregor has been saying for months and months and months. He could wipe it off the map whenever he wants. And we're the ones who are refusing to negotiate. We, I mean the US, I mean London, I mean Biden. We're the ones who don't give a damn about the Ukrainian people. It's a lie, friends. And I want to use this as an example so that maybe the next time they come along with another one of these crises, with another one of these big, gigantic fake news lies, we'll be a little more discerning. I mean, 8 months ago already, when everyone was ordering bigger and better Ukrainian flag lapel pins and standing with Ukraine, it was absolutely crystal clear to us down here in the underground who was behind this insanity. And the godfather, by the way, as we've been talking over at RunTheNewspaper.com, the godfather of that New World Order has got his fingerprints all over this thing. Back in 2015, the Directorate of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, she positively gushed her gratitude and her praise. One George Soros. Since 1990, no other private donor has traveled a longer distance in helping Ukraine. In total, she writes, George Soros has provided over $181 million in support of almost, get this, almost 17,000 civil society initiatives in Ukraine that were implemented by, get this too, thousands of activists throughout the country. I don't know, I just get tired of it. I mean, it's not... If you have a Christocentric view of the world right now, friends, you're going to be right. You're going to be batting 1,000 all along. This just keeps happening. I mean, you have to be able to discern. You have to understand what's going on here, how people are being used and being exploited to push an agenda. Do you remember when the Ukraine thing first happened? It turned out there were biolabs all over Ukraine. Do you remember that? Do you remember this? There are dozens of Tony Fauci-style biolabs financed by the United States all over the Ukraine right now. Is this true? Putin says it is true. Now that turned out to be true. Do you remember? Does that change if you're still standing with Ukraine? Does that change your opinion now, 9 months later? You like Dr. Malone, right? Everybody likes Dr. Malone, the guy who was a big whistleblower against the problems, the troubles, right, involving Pfizer and company. Well, he was there. He was on deck. He had understood that when these people's lips are moving, they're lying. So he tried to do something to break the propaganda grip on people about this. Do you remember? He says, quote, the weapons of war have evolved. What would the USA do if Russia was transforming Mexico into a client state and had placed bio-warfare research laboratories along our southern border? Would we invade? Says Dr. Malone, I strongly suspect that we would. And what did our folks say? Stand with Ukraine, man! You racist! You hater! You extremist! Do you ever get tired? Do you get tired of it? That every time someone attempts to stand up and speak the truth, the first thing that comes to your lips is racist, hater, little buzzwords that were fed to you by the TV set. Do you get tired of it? I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to people who support this nonsense. Do you ever get tired of not having an original thought in your head that wasn't programmed by people who hate you? And Dr. Malone's another one who found out the hard way that in this media-driven war, the facts of the matter, the facts about who was really behind this, what was really going on, just didn't matter.
I set up a foundation in Ukraine before Ukraine became independent of Russia. And the foundation has been functioning ever since. And it played an important part in events now.
You think that would have ended it? And there's so much more evidence. We presented a lot of it 9 months ago that Soros was behind this thing. And I'm not a Soros is behind every tornado that comes in kind of guy, but that he's behind a lot of this stuff is simply not, it's not the stuff of conspiracy theory any longer. He was behind what was going on in Ukraine. He was back there years and years ago. He admitted it.